cover with all of you, just real briefly, was that there was an article in the paper on Monday.
I don't know where they got that information.
I don't either, because I was there, and it's not quite what I had said.
I think it was Tuesday. They don't print on Monday.
Well, yeah, Monday or Tuesday. But essentially, there were two items that went to the Facilities Committee. One was our capital projects, which we talked about a lot in this committee, which is a list of projects that we do every year, about $1.4 million worth of capital projects. It's there, it's every year, it's a recurring theme. The other item that I put on the agenda was to send out an RFP for a construction manager. Because as we get further along in this process, we're going to need to get some estimates on things. And we want to have good estimates because we're going to be taking a recommendation to the board, and we want to have a good number that everybody's comfortable with going in. Not to belittle your estimating skills, but it's a check against that. When I put the RFP together, typically with construction managers, they base their fees based on the size of a particular project. So if it's a smaller project, their percentage fee may be a little bit more. If it's a larger project, it may be a smaller percentage. So I had to give everybody an even playing field. So I picked an arbitrary number. It could have been 30, could have been 40, could have been 60, but so long as everybody was playing on the same field, I wanted to make sure that that was clear. Somehow that got construed into, it's going to be this, it's going to be a project of that scope. I don't know what the scope is. You guys have to determine what that is. But I wanted to get that out right at the very start because it's been keeping me up at night. So.
Dave, I can even add something to that if you don't mind. I was with Alex Bell yesterday, and he writes stories throughout the day, and then he has a 10 o'clock deadline. He turned in his stories, and even he apologized to us because I guess he doesn't write the headlines. His nighttime editor does. And so he felt bad about the headline himself. So
okay.
Just to add to that.
Thanks. Well, like I said, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was clear with that and where it came from and how it all came to pass.
But if the headline was wrong, were the facts in the story then wrong?
I didn't read the story, so I don't know.
We go, Dave.
Oh. I gotta go, you guys.
So I guess the question I would have then is you know, it does seem like you're putting the cart before the horse and hiring the manager. And I know
the process is set up so that, yes, you bring somebody on board. Typically, there's no fee to do the preliminary items. And if things go forward, we're set up so that we can move relatively quickly. There's no risk, we can stop at any time, but the ducks need to be in the row. So I don't really see it as putting the cart before the horse, but we do need to be ready to move if that should be the case.
So what you're saying, Dave, is the person that you're hiring is going to verify numbers and see if it's the viability of it and that sort of thing.
And constructability, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And just to bolster that, it is a common practice. The majority of districts we do work with do bring a CM on during this process. What that allows is you guys additional resource to ask questions about constructability, phasing, right? Especially at the high school where we may be talking about kind of shuffling departments around, how much can be done in the summer, right? What can we commit to being done? How do we set up temporary space if we're going to spill into the school year? They would come on board and help create a plan for that. But then I think most importantly, they would be able to put very accurate cost estimates together for all the different options and projects that are on the table.
Well, that's the biggest advantage to this. You don't have surprises and they're way down the road. You know, they come
That's what you don't want.
And that CM still is generally going to bid all those projects out, all the sub trades out, so you're not committing to a dollar amount at this point. You're bringing on kind of a professional service to come on and support the group. And then later on, if and when a project were to proceed, they would then just move into a capacity of helping, starting to create bidding packages and create schedules and things like that.
So that's what it is, but I wanted to make sure that everybody was clear on it.
Appreciate you doing that.
Okay.
Because besides handing this to you, I was going to slap you upside the face.
Gary got
In a
called in
nice
my
way.
eye.
Well, at least there wasn't a brick buried in it. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to